Hello, everyone from District 57, Northern California. We are one of 4 districts in the San Francisco Bay Area. And right now, the weather is quite nice. How many of you, show of hands or a mark on there, are currently club officers? Okay. How many of you are area directors or division directors? Some of you, or have been in the past. I know some of you have been in the past. So I've been in Toastmasters quite a long time. And the first time of 2 that I served as area director, they called it area governor back then. I liked it, but I was a little disappointed in the information that Toastmasters provided to me as an area director. I thought there should have been more information. I thought it should have been better organized. So after my year as area director, I decided to do something about that, and I began what eventually became the current website. And the whole point of my website, and I talk to you here, is to make it easier for Toastmaster leaders to find and use the information that they want. So some of this is very focused on the area director's needs. A lot of it is useful to any club officer, or in fact, anyone who's got an interest in how Toastmasters operates. So we're going to talk about several aspects. Let me just briefly preview them. So we're going to talk about, as again, some of this is specifically interesting to area division directors. A lot of it is interesting to club members. We're going to talk about the information specifically about division and area. And of course, you can't talk about Toastmasters, particularly this time of year, without talking a little bit about payments and how we handle those. And of course, we all care about awards, and there's even more. So where to start? The Toastmasters website provides a lot of information. In fact, it's the basis for everything that I offer here, although I've reorganized it a lot. So I'm going to give you a website to go to, but here's how you can find it from the very beginning if you need to. On the Toastmasters website, you'll go to Leadership Central, and then you go to District Leader Tools. Now, you don't have to be a district officer to get into District Leader Tools. You just have to have a Toastmasters login. You just have to be a member. The one above it, District Central, is for district officers, but that's not what we're worried about today. And in District Leader Tools, and of course, they'll change this from time to time, there's 2 that we're interested in today: the Distinguished Performance Reports and the Find a Club Advanced Search. And the Distinguished Club Reports point to the dashboard. We'll talk about Find a Club a little bit later on. Point to the dashboard. Now, you can see a URL right there, dashboard.toastmasters.org. You could bookmark that if you want to, but I'm going to give you an even better one to bookmark. So hang on. So we're going to find most Toastmaster data on the dashboard. We get to select a specific district. And I'm going to show you how to get this one. But capture the screen or look at the recording later. If you use this one and put it in your browser, then you can jump straight to your district stats as opposed to going through from the top. Not a big deal, but it saved you a couple of clicks. At this point, we're going to switch gears and we're going to go live. So I have, if the internet breaks down on us, I will come back to the presentation here. But right now, we're going to go to live data. So I'm now on dashboard. So you can see up here, dashboards.toastmasters.org. And what district do we want data for? Well, you know, I kind of think we want data on District 71. We could get it one of 2 ways. We can scroll down to it, or we can say, no, I'm going to show off a little bit. I know that we're in region 10, so I'm going to go down to region 10, and I'm going to click on that. Either way takes you exactly the same place. This is the opening screen of the dashboard for any district. There are 3 tabs: district performance, division area performance, and club performance. We'll talk about these a little bit more, but most area, division, and club officers, club performance is what you want. And we say club performance, just mentally turn this into the DCP report, because that's what this is. This is the DCP report. On this screen, you can basically get anything you want about clubs in the district. This is the short form. It's got nice reminders up here. Club goals, what you're supposed to have for a level 1, or goals 1 through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then what you need to be distinguished, 5, 7, or 9. Very straightforward. Newer officers and members, this is a nice reminder. For everyone else, we're going to look at this in 2 forms. First of all, we're showing this report shows all the clubs in the district organized by division and area. So you can see at a very quick scan. So if you're the area director, here is your area all in one nice simple form. All the clubs you have, oh my goodness, area 3 has 6 clubs. Wow, you're busy, I guess. How many members they started with, that's base. How many members they currently have, that's the to-date number. Yay, Blarney Club, 24 members. Talking Head Club, 23 members. This is fantastic. Total goals they have met so far to date. And we'll talk a little bit more about what to date really means, because there's a little trick there. And then there's a nice summary. How are they doing? So they've earned 2 goals. What are those goals? There's a little bit of a coding here that may be obvious and maybe not. Notice under goal 1, there's a 1. It's in gray, isn't it? That says you haven't met all the goals for requirements for goal 1, because if we go back up here and look, for goal 1, you have to have 4 level 1 awards. Well, this club has earned 1 so far. But look, oh, here's one that's not in gray. It's in bold. It's also 1, but it's in bold. Why is that? This is number 5. 1 level 4, level 5, or DTM. Yay! All right. So they've earned that one. And membership is in, or new members, this is actually new members, is in bold. 4. Member goal 7 is 4 new members. And training, look at that. What a sharp club. 7 officers trained. Awesome. Remember, it's just 4 is the minimum you need for credit, but they've got 7. Now, this is great. It's fantastic because the area directors can easily scan through and get a nice snapshot of their clubs. It goes all the way down. But there's another way of looking at this, is when you want to go to the details, you say, well, I'd really like a little more close up on there. So let's go down there. I'm down here in age 20. Now, I'm not going to say this right. I'm going to say Hertfordshire, and I'm probably the English to actually say it a little different way, but I'm going to click on it. Now, what do I get when I click on it? Oh, I get a close-up of that club. I get a close-up of that club. Now, the advantage of this, it's got the same information, but the advantage of this view is it reminds you right on each line what the awards have to be. So this club has got 2 goals met so far. 2 goals in September, that's fairly good. That's fairly good. This club is probably on its way to President's Distinguished. It's odd how early in the year you can tell how a club will do, or likely do. They started with 29 members. They already have 33. All right, they only have to have 20. Now they've got 2. They would need 5 for distinguished, et cetera, et cetera. But it's the same information we saw on that big tabular form, but again, it's spelled out here. So if there's any question in your mind about what that award means, you can go this all spelled out here. So I haven't got any level 1s, 2s, or 3s, but someone's already earned a 4 or a 5. They could earn another one there. They've already got 4 new members. Yay, team. That's very good for this early year. And they've also trained all 7 officers. Now, honestly, if you didn't have all 7 officers trained in the district directors club, I don't know what's going on there. Everyone's figured out whose club I'm talking about, aren't you? So this is very good, nice close-up information. There's one more thing. This has everything on it about a club, numbers. And let's just remind ourselves that you can't totally understand a club by looking at its numbers. You visit a club to find out how it's really doing, to see how strong it is. But this allows you to do a scan. This tells you everything about that club except for one thing. What is its status? That is it active, meaning in good standing? Is it low? They have some ineligible clubs. Let's see if we have any here. Probably not. No, we won't. So see this little export mark up here? I can export this entire report to a CSV, a comma separated file, since I can bring it up in my favorite spreadsheet. Now that's got the same information. It's kind of spread out a little bit. They give you a bit more information, but it has one more column, and that is whether the club is active, ineligible, etc. All of them will be active right now because we haven't had a dues period. As soon as the October dues period goes by, we'll start to see clubs that are short on renewals, and we'll get there. Okay, I'm going to go on to another thing. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go through the materials to be sure there's time. Then I'm going to call for questions. We'll have plenty of time for questions so we can come back and revisit it. So if you have a question about club performance, again, think DCP, hold that question, ask it later. Let's go to division area. There's 3 tabs here. Excuse me. This one is pretty much made for the area directors, division directors, and the district team, because it has different kind of information. Has 2 kind of information that area and division director cares about. Like one of this is what your goals are. Let's take an area. Let's take area 3. So the area goals, if you want to be distinguished, you need to have 6 paid clubs at the end of the year. Select 6 paid clubs at the end of the year. Presidents, 7 paid clubs at the end of the year. In other words, you know this if you've been reading the district recognition program guide, is you need to add 1 net club to be distinguished. There's a secondary requirement, is you also have to have a certain number of clubs distinguished, 3, 4, or 5. Right now we have 6 paid clubs, yay, and we have 0 distinguished clubs. We won't have any distinguished clubs until April. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, George, my club has got 20 members and we'll have 5 goals in no time at all. That will make you eligible to be distinguished, but you're not officially distinguished until after the April dues period. So this is very, very useful. This is great. It's got lots of information in here. Renewals. It's renewal period, folks. We're coming up onto the October renewals. How many clubs have got their renewals complete? That means enough renewal to get 4. Well, here at Area 11, Toastmasters for golf already has it. I bet they did that out on the golf course. Obviously, no one's renewed for October yet. Let's see, is anyone doing better? Hey, here's Area 49 has got 2 clubs that have now renewed. You need to get those dues in, folks. Another thing is an area director to be distinguished also has to have a certain number of club visit reports. It's not enough that you went to see the club, is it? You have to actually file a report, don't you? Yes. So there won't be very many this early in the year, but this is where they'll show up. So this is what Elizabeth and her colleagues are going to be watching to see how the area directors are doing. And again, total members, this is useful. The third tab that is quite useful is district performance. This relates primarily to payments. Now, all of these, notice that on the district performance, we have the payments and so forth. I'm going to go back to club performance. In club performance, we don't have that. But on district performance, we have the key numbers that all the district officers are going to be watching. Obviously, no clubs are distinguished right now. That won't happen until later on. Based at 206, current 206. This tells you again, and all these are organized by division and area, how many membership payments have been made. one of the requirements for a district to be distinguished or higher is a certain percentage of membership payment. So this is very relevant. I know Elizabeth and her colleagues are watching this all the time. Area directors and division directors should be too. Club officers probably find it interesting, but just pay your dues and don't worry about it, okay? All right, so we now talked about club performance. We talked about the details of club performance. We've talked about what you can find in the division area report and what you can find in the district performance. Come back to these later and look at them. Every one of these has an export button. So if you export it, you get into a spreadsheet and now you can process it, you can sort it, you can summarize it, you can do whatever you want to. So this export button is very useful to you for some kind of analysis. Most districts have at least one person that's the data person, and they're probably using this all the time. Let's now talk about a different category of information. Notice over here on the left, I've got a whole series of things. Performance is just another way to get those tabs. We're going to talk about daily reports now. This is an important part for a couple of reasons. It gives us details that we don't get. For example, if I go back to club performance for a moment, I know how many awards each club has earned, how many level 1, level 2. No idea who earned those or if they were accurately recorded, do I? I just know the number, that's all I know. But over here on the left, we have something called daily reports. Daily reports, quite useful. Let's go there now. Daily reports are just what it says. They are reports that are updated every day. Now let me stop and take a second and talk about the dashboard dead zone. Every month, after the last day of the month, Toastmasters holds that data until they close out the month, wrap it up. They will only show that month data. So we're in September right now, September 30th. For several days, maybe even a week or more, all you'll see on that dashboard is September data. Why? Because it takes Toastmasters a little bit to finish processing the month. There's probably other reasons historical. We don't need to know that. All you need to know is between the end of the month and about a week or so later, there's going to be missing data. Because if you, for example, as your club, someone submitted an award on the 2nd or 3rd or 4th of the month, it won't show up in your DCP results. Why? Because those results are for the previous month. But we can verify they're true. So let's look at the possibilities. Educational achievement. There's several reports here. I'll leave it to you to go back and look at them, but they're all useful. Educational achievements. Now these have no dead zone. There's no blackouts. These are reported every day. So they get reported as they go. Now, there's no handy little export for this one. On the other hand, if you just select all these, copy it, open up your favorite spreadsheet, it pastes in very nicely and you can work with it. I can sort these any way I want to. By default, they are sorted by the club number, but I can sort it by member. I click it once, it sorts in reverse. I click it a second time, it sorts in forward. Now, many of you know this, some of you don't. Look at all these name unavailables. What does that mean? Well, Toastmaster adopted a privacy provision, which I think actually originated in Europe. It said people can opt out of having their name in public reports. So that's what we have here. All these name unavailables are your members who said, I don't want my name to appear in public reports. And now you're thinking, okay, George, that's nice, but how in the world am I going to know who these people are? Fortunately, there's a way out of that. See the number? That is their member number. Now, that is not known to the world in general. But as an area director, you can download a roster of all your clubs that includes their number. Division directors, you can see more, and of course, the district director can see all of these. So in fact, you can match up these names to be sure you got it right. So this gives you, this report is good for several different purposes. One is someone says, well, I thought I asked my VPE to submit this report. Did they do that? I don't know. We can go and check and see, was it actually really submitted? Another thing you can do here, you can say, I want to see the actual member names of the people who got credited in the DCP report. Well, there they are. Remember we talked about in area A11, there were 2 for Toastmasters for golf. Well, there they are. There's 2 PM5s that were earned. Fantastic. You can sort it by division, you can sort it by area, you can sort it by date, by name, you can sort it by club, and you can even sort it by location. This is very useful, very handy thing to have. We can change this a couple of ways. I'm going to just go back using my browser's back button to get back to the daily reports. Of course, I clicked several times, so we have to go through it. Daily reports. All right. One other thing that's very important to a lot of us is payments. We're coming up on October dues payments. And I don't know about you, but when I was district director, we had a recognition program for clubs that submitted their dues early. And we, of course, reminded people who hadn't submitted their dues yet. Again, like the other ones, this is sortable. Again, it starts out sorted by club number, but wouldn't it be handy to sort it by renewal status? Yes, you can do that. So, whoa, dear. Elizabeth, you got your work cut out for you.
50 degrees.
You go by name, and again, you sort it. Again, this does not have an export button, but mouse down on this, copy them all, paste them into your favorite spreadsheet, and you can do a lot of wonderful analysis on this. So that is those reports. There are other reports that are handy. There's educational archives, what happened in previous years, but it doesn't have names on it. There's things like what officer lists have been put in. There's things like what club coaches are currently assigned. If you think you've assigned a club coach and it doesn't show up here after a couple of days, you want to go at it. Awesome. This is fantastic. You guys have a lot of club coaches. Congratulations. So this is payments award data. I'm going to switch gears entirely now to a different category. Again, I'll come back and ask questions. This is a summary of the data available from Toastmasters. Let's look at my website because it's got some other information you might want occasionally. All of this data is from the public reports. I get no special access. Headquarters knows who I am. They know what I do. They're happy with me doing it, but they don't give me any magic data. I still have to get it all myself. Give you a couple things that are useful. Club name lookup. Who could remember 7-digit club numbers anyway? So we could say, I want to see the data on this club. I forget what it was, but I know it starts HERT. Let's do that. Here we are, all the clubs with an HERT in it. On there is the one I want, Hertfordshire. And here's this. I can click this and get their awards. I can click this one, get their DCP history. This will take me to the TI and show their DCP report, and this will take me to find a club. So this is just very handy. Now let's talk about one other one, and this I'm looking at club officers and area directors. So you're a new area director. You're getting acquainted with your clubs. You'd like to know how they're doing. And of course, you're going to go visit them. You're going to talk to them. Guess what? The president, maybe most of the club officers might be kind of new themselves. They might not know much about their own history, but you'd like to have a kind of understanding, wouldn't you, about how the club has done in the past. So let's go look at a club. And I'm going to have the club number for this. And again, I'm going to pick on my favorite club here. I want to see what the DCP history was of club 6327. Now, past results are no indication of future performance, but in general, it tends to happen a lot. This is an amazing club. Look at this. I've got year by year, I've got two things. How they finished up the year. Another one that's occasionally interesting, how they were doing this particular month in past years. So this particular club, and by the way, Toastmasters didn't give us club names for the first 3 years they had this out. If I go over here to the DCP, I can see they're pretty strong. Most years they were select, right? They had a couple of bad years, but like this, the past 2 years they've been presidents. And so again, here's a summary stuff. You can get this from the dashboard, but to do it, you have to select each year, open up the year, open up the district, open up the club, look the numbers, select a different year, open up the numbers. Here it is in one click. One simple click. Let's look at another one. I'll go one more. Yeah, I cheated. I looked ahead of time. Oh, look at this club. This is an outstanding club. Presidents distinguished every year since online records were kept since June 05. And look how strong they are. 9 goals every time. Now you're going to go to clubs that aren't doing so well. Maybe they haven't ever been distinguished before. Maybe you know what work you've got to do. So that's the idea there. One other thing that's handy for a number of purposes, this report has the uninspired name of Get Clubs. And all this is a list of all your clubs, again, taken from Toastmasters, but with some additional information added. So it's got when the club was founded. It's got where it meets. So if you're saying, well, I'd like to visit some clubs and I need a Wednesday night club, this has it all in one place. Again, you can go to find a club and you can get this individually, one club at a time. What I've given you here is your entire district with all the clubs listed, all the contacts listed, everything you want available, including things like their website, what platform they use. It's just a nice quick summary that you can use for a lot of different purposes. And another one more. Let's see. Unlimited. Have you ever thought, you know, a lot of our clubs are presidents distinguished. I wonder what's a really, really top club. So let's go last year. And let's just look at our club. Now, this is called the Unlimited or Extended DCP report. And all I've done in this report is I've said, suppose there was no limits on the DCP. And right now you can only have 10 goals max that you can earn in the DCP. We're a little slow here. But suppose there's no limit. So right now, if you earn 4 level 1s, you get 1 DCP goal. It doesn't matter if you earn 8, 12, 16, you only get 1 DCP goal. Suppose there was no limit. This is the unlimited goal. Then you can say, this is going to show clubs that we're great at recruiting new members because we won't have any limits on that, and great earning goals. So last year, the UCD Michael Smurfett, whatever the school is, earned 16 goals when you don't limit them, and 12 of the members actually earned an award. Boy, that's fantastic. So this is something some people like to use just for kind of a measure of how we're doing. So that's a lot of things. I encourage you to check out all of these. They've all got their own value. Charter anniversaries. If you ever wanted to put out some kind of recognition on the significant anniversaries of some of your clubs, okay, here you go. This was the club anniversary, and I've marked significant date, 15-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary, 30-year anniversary. 30-year anniversary. So this is a handy way of doing it. We can't do members. You're going to have to use the district roster for that, but that's the general idea. Okay, that we are now down to 10 minutes left. So with that, I'm going to stop presenting and I'm going to take questions on anything I've covered. And can someone act as the moderator and feed the questions to me? Any questions?
Oh, yes.
Like drinking from a fire hose, a lot there.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for looking at Hertfordshire Speakers Club, because that's my home club, the one that's 6327. So I'm really excited. And the other one is Fingal. I'm sure if we had our past international president, Ted Corcoran, I think he'd be delighted because that's his club. So you chose well. Madam Coordinator, I think there's a question in the chat. Do you want to monitor the chat, please?
Sure. Yes, I will. It's not a, oh yes. Question is from Karen. Do you have any corporate specific reports?
The reports relate to all clubs, but let me say this. I'll go back to, I'm going to share again to show. So here's the deal. Each club is labeled by when you charter, and you can change it in Club Central to say whether you're an open community club, whether you have restrictions on membership, whether you're an advanced club, all that. Corporate clubs generally are labeled as there are restrictions. It doesn't specifically say corporate, but generally that is. Sometimes there's occasional restrictions. You can use a report, and let me show you this one here. Okay. I'm going to go to the Get Clubs. I'm going to point out that Club Open, this category right here, is where the club is an open community club or where there's eligibility, E for eligibility. And we can actually click on this and so if you export this, and every one of my reports can be exported to a CSV file. If you export this, you can pick out only the corporate clubs and then do whatever analysis you want to on it. But so far I've got almost no one that says, can I see reports on only open or only corporate, so I haven't done that. So the information is available for you to pull out.
Thank you very much, George. Another question from Victoria. If the data in the report is not correct, who do we contact?
So if you look at the dashboard and you say there's something wrong here, and by the way, don't forget about the dashboard dead zone. If it's incorrect between the end of the month and about the 7th or 10th, it's just not incorporating new stuff. If it's still wrong, you go to the Toastmaster website, and there's two places primarily you would want to go to. You can go to the districts, and again, there's a page with all the emails on it, so I'm not going to try to report it here. Either the districts department or the clubs department. Districts actually is districts@toastmasters.org. Clubs is something similar to that. And hit them up and say, we filed this report. It's not there. What's going on? Right now, I think, as we all know, they're going through some software changes, and it's a bit of a challenge. And they're a little bit slow and have some errors. But normally, that's where you would get the information. Now, if you look at my report and you say my report's wrong, the first thing when I ask you to do is go to the dashboard and see if it matches. If the dashboard has a different number than my report does, I've got a problem, let me know. If it's got the same number, it's a dashboard problem, it's a TI problem. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Amar says, are you working on any new reports in the near future?
I don't have a current plan. As I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, the way these reports came about the first 5 or 6 I thought of myself, is if someone says, what about a report that shows this? And if it seems to me that it's of general interest, I will sometimes develop it. By the way, it takes hours and hours and hours to develop one of these reports. I've got the data already, but it takes a while. But when I see something that's of general interest, I'll do it. So my information is at the bottom of my webpage. You can always email me. I'm on Facebook, but frankly, I'd rather get the email on something like that, and we'll talk. I've also been known, particularly for district officers, to do a custom report. I can actually extract certain kinds of data without writing a complete report. I just do it in my database. So I can do that. All right,
Great.
next question. Are the colors?
Thank you.
Whatever,
Yes.
okay. What's the next
Barry,
one?
sorry, George. Barry
Oh.
asked, is there a way to pull online clubs other than filtering get clubs?
There is, if you're talking about exclusively online, I mean, the Find a Club says where the club's allowed visit. If you search the Toastmaster website, we don't have time to do it right now, for online clubs, they have a page that lists all of the totally online clubs. They do not have any categorization where you can process and buy just online clubs. And Find a Club, unfortunately, won't say that it's exclusively online, but that is your starting point, is to go to that page. And again, if you just search the Toastmaster website, it'll pop up pretty quickly. Next question.
Okay, next one is from John. What does Mike's reports cover that yours don't?
What a great question. Mike Rafferty is also a very active data guy. In fact, he was the one that gave me the first little bitty code fragment. This is how you do it. He and I talk a lot. There is a style difference to the report. Mike's reports tend to be static reports. So he's got 10, 15, 20 things about each district that he keeps, and those are just static reports you can go to. We both start with the same information, and we both are only using public information. His, you can scan through and see what it does. Mine are, as you can see, are more query oriented, where you can ask the question. You just have to look at them and see. For example, he once wrote an article about unlimited DCP clubs, but he never followed up on it. I was inspired by that and wrote a report. You create a report that does that all the time. You just have to go check them out. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next one. Paul Greenway says, are there any profile type reports? That is not public information. The only way you can get that is whoever among you is the wizard of spreadsheets or maybe databases, and Elizabeth gives you permission, you download the district member roster and you start sorting and searching. Now, the statistics page, there is a statistics page on Toastmasters that has some very, very broad categories, past information. It goes back several years, and you can look at it, but it's quite general. It's statistics for general purposes.
Any other questions? Anyone with?
Yes, I have a question. I mean, I like downloading data and playing with spreadsheets. I'm okay manipulating spreadsheets and so on.
Mhm.
Pathways, the P word is really, really important. Which of your reports will help us to get information about pathways quickly, if there is one? Or what is the best report for that?
There is one report, there's an awards report where you can say, show me the numbers for a certain type of report. And back in the days when we had both traditional and pathways, that was really useful. But you can run a report to say, show me just a level 1, show me just a level 2, things like that. So those kind of things. The other report that's useful, particularly to the trio courses, you know, there's a pathways adoption report that Toastmasters earns. If you come up with a report that you'd like to see that is specific to pathways, again, everything's pathways now. Every once in a while, I publish a custom report that says this is what paths are most popular, and you know, this is how many closures there were. But I haven't turned that into a report. I think it's a little special purpose. But if it's important enough, I could.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions? Anyone? No?
I'm really going to encourage, no, we have to encourage people to ask questions. We are just so privileged to have DTM George with us that we cannot waste this opportunity. I can see, Paul, you've got a question.
Yes. Hi, George. Lovely to see you. Paul O'Mahony here. I wanted to ask you, is it possible to get a report about the list of distinguished Toastmasters in a district?
Yes, under the general category of educational, one of them you can ask for is DTMs. And it will list, as I recall, some of these I wrote a while back. I think you can go all the way back as far as the online records go, which is for educational report 2003, 2004. So yes, you can do that. Now, that tells you everyone that earned a DTM in the district. If you want to know who of your current members has a DTM, that again is the district roster that the top officers can get.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bob, I see your name a lot. Okay, go ahead, Bob.
George, good to see you in person instead of just exchanging on Facebook. And I picked up what you just said about the DTMs in the modern era. My DTM was long before they had a computer at World Headquarters, I would imagine. So do I not appear on any lists anywhere?
That's true. No awards earned before July 2003 have been published by headquarters. You might be able to go to headquarters and say, I'd like a list of those early ones. And if they're not too busy, and if you ask it in a nice way, they will sometimes do it. But yeah, Toastmasters did not discover the internet until 2003.
Fine, okay. I was just thinking that if somebody in my district wants to find the list of DTMs, they ain't going to find me, are they?
Well, here's what you could do. And now I'm looking at Elizabeth again. She could go to the roster or ask whoever your data guru is in your district to extract all the DTMs that have been in your district that are current members and publish just that part on the website. And that's the best I can offer you right now.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another question from John. Can you tell Pathways projects completed? So tell if awards are unclaimed, or what do you get, or what do you do to get it? I know Easy Speaks help.
So my reports are based on information that is available with no login. That is the dashboard and the daily reports. To find out what Pathways projects have been done, you obviously have to log in and you have to be a Basecamp manager. So only a Basecamp manager in a club has that information. You might like it to be differently, but that's the way it is. It's kind of like in the old days, for those of you that have been around a while, we had no way of knowing how many projects in a competent communicator manual had been done until they finished the whole thing and submitted it, did we? Kind of the same concept.
I have another general question for you, DTM George. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of data. There's the dashboard, there's your reports, Mike Rafferty's reports, and so on. People can easily become overwhelmed. What would your guidance be to an area director and a division director to the sort of minimum reports they should be viewing every week or every month? What would your advice be?
I'm glad you asked that question, Elizabeth. I would ask, first, I'll give you in two parts. I would ask a new area director, relatively new, to start out and find a club. And for each of their clubs, note the contact information that's given, phone and or email and or website, and try those out. Do they work? If you try to reach a club by using the email they post on Find a Club, doesn't work. Unfortunately, many clubs keep forgetting to update that information. So that's the first thing I'd ask you to do. Verify that it's correct. The second is, on an ongoing basis, the club performance, that is the DCP report, is your most valuable. If you're only going to look at one thing, that's it. because that's going to tell you how the club is doing, how they're doing on their membership, how they're doing on the gold, how they're doing on new members. If you don't see any educational goals there over a long period of time, you got to wonder what's going on. Are they running a good enough program where they're scheduling people? If you don't see any new members in a few months, you'd say, is this club even trying to bring in new members? Again, it deserves some attention. So that's the kind of thing. And then, of course, twice a year, the dues renewal status is extremely important. And again, that was in the daily reports. I showed you the list of clubs that had not yet submitted they're not renewed. And again, by renewed, we mean at least 8 members. Everyone looking at worried about clubs right now should go, when we're off this call, bring up that list, look at the ones that you're worried about and give them a call.
Thank you. There's a question from Victoria. Barry has had his question answered. Victoria says, I know members can have their name held back, but is there any notification when info is exported that it may contain personal data? What measures are included to protect personal data?
I'll give you 2 parts of that answer. The first is there are no public reports where member personal data is provided. I'm not aware of anything whatsoever. But the way where it is reported is in the district report, the one that only district officers have available to. It is stated, as I recall, in the profile. When you say you're opting out, it tells you what you're opting out of. So I don't believe there's anything that says when the district director downloads a report, what it doesn't go out to the people that don't have it. So, but the main thing to understand is there are no public reports where a member name will be shown if they have opted out. None, 0, nada.
Okay, thank you. I think this will be our final question from Tom. Any ideas as to when TI will update the title of DCP goal number 5 and 6? Currently, it says level 5 instead of path completion.
Who knows? I have that conversation about once a month with some district officer. You know, they changed pathways, what is it, 2 years ago now? And instead of level 5 being the end of a path, when they did the part where you can now do levels out of order, you now need something after level 5 to say you're done. I have no idea when they're going to do that. It would be nice, but I would also say for all practical purposes, it doesn't matter. The report, the award cannot be approved until they've done the level 5. It's not supposed to be. There's actually a bug in the system. So it'd be nice. I wouldn't hold my breath.